muito, seja muito, muito bem-vindo ao nosso Pod Travelcast. Hoje é um dia muito especial, mais que especial, né? Primeiramente porque eu tenho aqui a linda, bela professora Camila, bem-vinda. É um prazer ter você aqui na nossa mesa hoje, né? Estamos aqui diretamente do Brasil, né? Para um podcast super especial. Seja muito bem-vinda, amor.
Muito obrigada pelo convite, é um prazer estar aqui com vocês também.
Aqui do outro lado da mesa, muito especial também, nós temos o nosso amigo Lucas da English Access. Seja bem-vindo, Lucas.
Boa tarde a todos, boa noite, onde você estiver. E meu sonho se realizou. Finalmente, vamos ter um podcast 100% em inglês.
Eu ia falar isso agora mesmo, né? Eu falei, eu não sei se eu deixo ele dar o spoiler, eu apresento ele ou eu falo que o sonho dele finalmente se realizou. Antes do que ele imaginava. Nós temos aqui uma convidada muito especial. Já é amiga nossa, né? Veio diretamente da Inglaterra também. É diretora internacional de uma escola, de uma rede de escolas lá na Inglaterra. E, para nossa alegria, ela não fala português. Estamos aqui com a Luisa. You're very welcome, Luisa.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure having you here. Thanks for taking your time, on your busy agenda to be here with us.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to having a conversation about all things travel.
Ok. Então, finalmente, você que está em casa aí, aperta a tecla SAP, se você não fala inglês. Esse programa é dedicado a você que tinha vontade ou achava que não precisava aprender o inglês. E para você também ver que é possível, tá? Alguns de nós aqui não falavam inglês ainda e hoje a gente consegue falar porque passamos por um processo que você pode passar também e aprender a língua. E nós estamos aqui com educadores, tá? Do meu lado está a professora Camila, que é mestre em educação, e na minha frente está a Luísa também, que é uma professora. Ela vai falar sobre a graduação dela, né, a qualificação dela, e é uma professora, diretora de uma área internacional de uma rede de escolas lá na Inglaterra. Então a gente está aqui com gente que manja muito de educação, e o professor Lucas também, especialista na língua inglesa. E agora a gente vai mudar o nosso idioma.
Antes de apertar, acho que já vale lembrar, pedir para você que está aí assistindo a gente, atenção no ouvido no seu listening, porque eu acho que hoje a gente percebe até a variação do inglês americano com o inglês britânico.
Exatamente.
O American English accent, a little bit of the British accent as well. Então eu acho que vai ser legal para quem está assistindo a gente.
Com certeza.
Não é isso? Poder perceber.
Então, como o Lucas estava muito excited, Lucas.
All right, let's go ahead.
Ready.
Let's do it. Guys, it's so good. You guys have to speak English. You don't know how. Oh, finally. Luisa, first of all, thank you once again for coming here to separate some time for your agenda here. And as we were talking a little bit before, I'd like you just to give a quick introduction of your roles, what you do in England, and if you can, a little bit of your experience of what you're thinking about here in Brazil as well.
Sure. Okay. So I have come to Brazil this week with Camila and Leandro to investigate how we can connect our schools and our students in both countries to learn from one another and with one another in exchange programs and opportunities. So my role in the UK is for a group of 15 schools called the King's Group Academies, and I am the international director there. So my job is to ensure that our students get opportunities to learn from others in other countries, learn with students. So they might take part in virtual projects online. They will take part in exchange programs. They would welcome students from other countries into our schools to learn alongside us. So all with the aim to develop global citizens, to give students the opportunity to learn about the wider world and give them those experiences that otherwise might not be accessible to them. And so we want to deliver that for our students, and the work that we're doing here is to look for even more opportunities to make that happen.
Wow, that's a great initiative, right? And I imagine your students and people, when they connect with the globe, they grow as citizens, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we're preparing these students for a world of work that we don't know what that's going to look like yet, but what we do know is that the world is getting smaller and it's more accessible, and the jobs that they might be going into will require them to have the ability to mix with different cultures, to work alongside people speaking another language. And so these are the experiences that we want to ensure our students to get, to give them that step ahead of others in the UK that perhaps haven't had that experience.
And something that we were discussing is that goes beyond the academic view or even professional view in a future, but also emotionally and personally, as they will see different culture happen, or that empathy and the personality being changed as they are exposed to those different experiences. So I think it's humble to look all of that and see them having that experience and opportunity to change, and actually see they are all part of the same world. So
Yeah, talking about the world, did you have any previous experience like teaching English abroad?
Yes, so
And where was it, if so?
My career started as a teacher in the UK, teaching in schools in London in both the private and the state sector. And then I decided actually that I didn't do what a lot of students in the UK do after university. Some students take a year out and take a gap year to travel, and I never did that. So it was when I got to the age of 28 that I thought, I'm going to do that. So I quit my job and I ran away and traveled around the world by myself for a year.
Wow.
Nice.
And at the end of that year, I realised that I'm not sure I want to go back just yet. So that's when I applied to teach in international schools and ended up in Thailand. And then ended up teaching and leading as part of senior leadership teams in an international school in Bangkok for 12 years.
Titty
Oh, for what? For 12?
For 12 years, yes.
It
Yeah.
was supposed to be something short.
It was supposed to be 2 years, but what happens to a lot of teachers that go overseas, they end up loving it, and so they stay. So
Yeah.
I think that's for anyone who goes abroad, isn't
Yes.
it? Like being expected that you might plan going for a month, 6 months, and you kind of ended up staying for
Yes.
years.
It looks
more,
like you
or
go
make
out.
life.
You go out looking for something. You actually found it, and then you stay with it.
Absolutely.
Stick with that.
Yeah, so
It's been
so it
12
was
years.
it was 12 years. So we could switch to Thai now for the interview if you wish.
Wow.
Excuse me.
So it was that experience that when I did decide to return to the UK that led me to this role that I'm in now. So the combination of the UK teaching experience and the international teaching experience led to me having the right skill set essentially for the job that I'm doing, which brings together everything that I'm so passionate about in education, which is, giving students those opportunities to see the world, to learn about the world and its people. And as you said so rightly, it's the empathy and it's the understanding, it's that cultural understanding that you can't get from reading a book, you can't get from watching a TV show. You need to experience it in person and feel it. And I was saying to you just yesterday that being here in Brazil, I've delivered workshops to our staff about cultural differences, and we talked actually a little bit about cultural difference in Brazil compared to the UK. But now that I'm here, I'm living it and I'm feeling it. And I was talking about this yesterday, the warmth of the culture, the friendliness of the people, but also the manner in which you work together. So it's the traveling. You can only get that through those experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is what the podcast is about.
Yeah.
We insist that every day, every week when we're here, saying that is the experience you only get when you travel. People who stays home, they don't get that. Even through the book, you're totally right. Even the best book,
You might read about it, but it's totally
you can
different.
dream
when
about
you,
it, but when you go out there,
It's because the travel, when you meet other people, there's a proverb in the Bible that says, as iron sharpens iron, so does a man sharpen his brother. You only get sharpened by people.
Yeah.
And if you go abroad and get sharpened by people with other visions, other cultures, wow,
it changes you.
You come back a different person, a
Yeah.
little bit
You're
different.
never the same,
Your
never the
personality
same
is a little bit
again.
different. Yeah,
You do, absolutely. That's completely true. And I think the more you can do that, the more you're going to enrich yourself and develop yourself as a person. So it's,
Exactly.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Wow, we should finish here. That's the lesson already.
Are you understanding? Are you guys following?
following us.
Right? Great.
All right. Yeah, Louise, so you said that you were a teacher already before
yes.
when you travel. So what subject?
So I was a primary specialist. So I trained as a primary teacher. In my early career, I taught what we call Key Stage 2, so 7 up to 11-year-olds. And then when I moved over to Thailand, I taught the whole age range. The school there went up to 14-year-olds, so I had experience of teaching that too, but mostly in the primary phases, so all subjects. Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Yes. So the next one is to Lucas and Camila. So you both can answer that question, because people from home, even though they are fluent, sometimes they could struggle. Listen to us, listen to my accent, of course. But for example, what is a gap year?
A gap year. Gap year.
In Portuguese?
In Portuguese.
Yeah.
Is the gap the one that you kind of
No. It would be the equivalent of ano sabático.
Portuguese.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Say that in Portuguese so people can.
Ok, so quando ela tirou gap year, gap é vão. Então ela tirou vão, espaço entre o trabalho e o estudo. A gente seria ano sabático, né?
Okay, next one is
pausa, né?
No, can be to you as well. So because we don't hear that in Brazil. What's the
We're
UK?
translating gap year in Portuguese.
Because she said that she left or she went back to UK. What is the UK?
The UK is the United Kingdom, o Reino Unido. Ok, então Reino Unido, United Kingdom.
Então, Inglaterra.
Inglaterra, País de Gales, a Irlanda do Norte e Escócia.
É conhecido como
o Reino Unido.
Reino Unido.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
And then after that, that's for you, Camila. She said,
I love geography.
Yeah.
I love geography.
She
Yes.
said something that she was working at primary school in the early years.
Ooh.
I have no idea.
Early years.
Can you teach
in
us?
Portuguese,
Yeah.
of course.
Is this an English class or Portuguese?
Whoa, I think this is...
No Brasil é o equivalente à nossa educação infantil, né? Então nós temos o Early Years como a nossa educação infantil, e o nosso ensino fundamental 1 é o que seria a fase que ela é a profissional no passado, que é uma professora polivalente do fundamental 1, a gente chama de primary teacher.
Alright. Ok, if você de casa que tem alguma dúvida do que a gente está falando, escreve aí, a gente vai tentando tirar dúvida no meio do caminho.
That's actually interesting, because you have better understanding of this, even though I'm from here. I'm Brazilian, but I grew up in South Africa.
Okay.
So our education system is similar to the UK, primary school, high school, and everything. So I still confuse what's Fundamental 1, Fundamental 2.
But it is really hard for us as well, because for her she knows everything.
She was a teacher here and there.
Yeah,
right?
because for example, should be when they say year 9 should be nona série aqui do Brasil.
Nono ano.
Nono ano, né? Year 9, nono ano. E não é. Não, então assim, aí fica mais difícil ainda, porque quando eles começam o primeiro ano lá, que é o primeiro ano daqui, que seria o year 1 lá, não é. Então assim, você ainda tem que fazer um monte de cálculo.
Tem que fazer um pouco de cálculo.
Porque é mais ou menos pela idade e outra, né? O ano acadêmico lá começa em setembro, o que torna mais difícil ainda, porque às vezes o aluno de 12 anos está em uma série aqui, lá e está 2 para frente ou 2 para trás. É uma confusão que eu não consigo.
It's very complex school system. It's very important also when anybody thinking about traveling abroad to make an exchange course. A longer exchange course.
Long-term one.
Yeah, a longer term. Talk to the Ministry of Education here, to the agency, to see if the subjects align.
Do your research.
Do your researches and do this well. This has happened I've had a few students who've gone abroad, then they came back there to repeat the year because the school here did not accept.
Well, as you mentioned, I was holding my fire, but if you need this help, we are here for that. If you're planning to go abroad, with your family, and you want to put to register your kids in the school in UK, we are here for that. We can help you. That Camila can do it.
Yes, that's it. And I think we would be pretty much looking into not having any Brazilian student lacking its contents or having to go back 1 year just because they have spent some time abroad. So I think that's one of the solutions that we actually try to support and assist the students when they leave Brazil and they go to the UK, so we can do the best that we can to accommodate all that curriculum. So there is no loss at all, but only
Yeah,
Only
so
gains.
that's why we're here for this
Yeah,
week
yeah.
specific, and that's why we brought Luisa with us. To
Fantastic.
facilitate for the Brazilian students to get a long-term course or maybe extend the education in UK.
It's a little bit like you said, Luisa. What our job here is also to bring the same world to Brazilians. The main problem here, we think, with Brazilians is that the language Portuguese, it's an amazing language, we're all for it, but it's not so strong internationally. So most Brazilians don't speak English. And for them not to speak English, this is a literal barrier for them to access the world, access the opportunities in the world. So
Feel confident sometimes,
Yeah.
isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah, I think to do the step and actually throw yourself into
Yeah.
that adventure.
Out of curiosity, in Thai, their main language is Thai. No? But
Their main
how-
language is Thai, and that's even more limited because it's only spoken in
Yes.
Thailand. Yes, but in Thai public schools, they will learn some English, but then in Thailand, a very big presence is international schools, and English-speaking international schools is very, very popular. So a lot of Thai families that can afford to do so will send their children to either a bilingual school that has a pure bilingual program, or to an international school with perhaps a British or an American or a IB international baccalaureate curriculum. So yeah, very popular there.
So those bilingual, are they private school or public?
Bilingual would be a private school
Private.
as well. Yes.
Is it accessible financially speaking, or is it too expensive?
There is different ranges, so there will be sort of those that are on the cheaper end of the scale, which will be more accessible, but perhaps the experience of the teachers there might not be quite so strong. So the higher up the scale you go, with the international schools being at the top of that scale, you would have native speaking English teachers, so teachers like myself who come over from the UK, from the US, to actually teach in those schools and live in those countries.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, very good. And what do you think of Brazil in the few days that you have been
So
here?
far, yeah.
I love it. As I'm saying, that I knew this about it already, but now I've experienced it, and that is just the warmth of the people and the culture. And we've been so welcomed. I've been visiting schools, and everywhere I've been made to feel incredibly welcome, even though I don't speak Portuguese, which is embarrassing when I'm there. But the students have all made a huge effort to try and communicate and say hello. So yeah, I'm thrilled, and I'll be back.
I want to get something from you recorded. You just said something that's very important, which is you don't speak Portuguese, but you are feeling very welcomed. And even if you did try to speak Portuguese, you would definitely not see anyone judging you. But the opposite happens when people, us Brazilians, we go abroad, or other Brazilians, and they are afraid of the little English that they have, and they're afraid to be judged. What can you say about, from your experience, when you see somebody trying to speak your language? Are you judging them? Are you like, hey, come on, you should have learned English? Is that coming through your mind? Because that's what they think it's coming through everyone's mind.
No, absolutely not. And I think, us native English speakers, we're lazy. We are lazy language learners because so much of the world speaks English. So actually, I am always impressed with anybody. If you come to me and you speak with an accent, that shows you know another language. So actually, that is something that is to be commended and should be proud of. So I would always encourage people to practice and just give it a go. It is you do feel nervous, and I've felt that being here. I've tried a few words that I know, but you feel self-conscious, but ultimately you're never going to get any better unless you try. And that is where
so true.
I think I make a rule with myself and my own children that when we travel, before we go, you have to learn how to say hello, you have to learn how to say thank you, and if you can learn a few other little phrases, then that's important. And that's sort of the rule now that we have, and I think anybody traveling anywhere should try to at least follow that.
That's an amazing top tip to be shared.
Wow, this is so strong. I would like to ask you to repeat that one you said. The saying you said, look into this camera here. So if you come to me with a accent, say that again.
Yeah, I think anybody speaking with an accent, if they're speaking English with a different accent, that is something to be proud of, because it means you know another language, and it's not something to be ashamed of. And give people a chance, speak slowly, they will work with you to understand. Don't be afraid. So be proud of the fact that you have an accent.
And carry on.
The very day I heard that one, that was that touched me, because I was like, because sometimes I'm ashamed of my accent, and sometimes I think twice before I talk to people. And then I heard that one on Instagram video, and I said, "Man, this is true."
You have an accent because you speak another language.
Yeah,
That's actually
it's so
great.
true. Then she said that one again. That's why I asked it to record it to make sure that, okay, let's keep that one.
Sure. Yeah.
But if people do want to improve their language and improve their opportunity learning, what can they do in this coming July?
Okay, this coming July, I'm gonna do that in Portuguese.
Just to make sure
I can't lose
everyone will
a
get
second.
that.
Yes.
Ok, gente, se você tá gostando, nós estamos caminhando pro final do programa. Esse daqui foi um programa mais curto para nós podermos te dar uma palhinha aí e matar o sonho, né, e realizar o sonho do Lucas. Se você ficou impressionado, se você tá com vontade de aprender, se você entendeu bastante, fala, uau, falta pouquinho para minha fluência, a gente tem aí uma opção agora em julho de 2025, dia 12 de julho, começa o nosso curso na Inglaterra, no tão famoso UK, que a gente aprendeu hoje, tá bom? É um curso aí do dia 12 ao dia 26 de julho, tá? No Newbold College, na faculdade lá na Inglaterra. Você vai ter aula com professores nativos, um intensivão de inglês, ainda vai fazer viagens conhecendo aí o centro de Londres, o centro histórico de Londres, vai conhecer o Big Ben, a roda gigante tão famosa, né, London Eye, o Museu Britânico, e vai estar sentado numa sala de aula com professores britânicos, cuidando para que você dê uma turbinada aí no seu nível de inglês e volte para o Brasil com um certificado de um curso de inglês feito na faculdade lá na Inglaterra. Isso mesmo, professora?
É exatamente isso. Tá todo mundo lá muito looking forward to it. Então os professores estão felizes, aguardando. Tem muita coisa boa para poder conhecer, colocar a língua, né, em prática como um grande laboratório, eu acho, nas saídas, e tirando o network, né? Então não serão somente brasileiros, talvez, saindo e participando desse curso. A gente sabe que ali na Europa tem mais gente vindo dentro desse período. Então eu acho que é uma oportunidade riquíssima. E aí, aproveitando que Lucas estará lá também, então quer dizer, nós teremos aí pessoas que vão estar querendo dar a mão, porque isso já foi uma coisa discutida aqui no Pod Travelcast, né? Que é realmente você tá ajudando também essa pessoa, porque quem sabe vai ser a primeira vez que você tá indo, e aí todo esse suporte vai ser dado, e nada como praticar o inglês ali no berço, no país de que fala a língua.
Então coloca aí na sua agenda, dia 12 de julho você tem um programa de 2 ou 3 semanas na Inglaterra, uma cidade bem pertinho da cidade de Londres, na faculdade, chama-se Newbold College. Você vai ter um curso de inglês com professores, ministrado por professores britânicos, tá? Um intensivão no curso de inglês, com a possibilidade também de fazer passeios à cidade de Londres e conhecer de pertinho o Big Ben, a roda gigante, o Museu Britânico e coisas assim, tá bom? Coloca aí na sua agenda, procura a gente aqui, ó, vai estar aqui a nossa mídia social, como você pode entrar em contato com a gente, e também pode entrar em contato direto com a English Active, que tem uma promoção especial para essa viagem, né, não, Lucas?
Isso mesmo. Todos os alunos que foram para essa viagem vão ter apoio de treinar o inglês antes e depois. Então, já incluso no pacote, pessoal. Vai ser algo bem completo. A gente vai cuidar direitinho de vocês. Não percam, tá bom? E corre logo, porque tem poucas vagas. Tá imperdível, tem poucas vagas. Vai começar aqui, já vai preparar vocês aqui. Vocês vão sair falando inglês bem legal.
Alright, okay. Thank you very much, Luisa. That was a pleasure. That was really nice, and the time was flying.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure to talk with you today.
Yeah. Thank you, Lucas, once again. Thank you, Camila.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Alright. And to this camera in the middle, we say bye.
Bye, guys. Take care.